Hey, everybody, welcome to the Chill Factor, the podcast that is cooler than your walk in freezer. I'm your host, Clint Reed, and with me, as always, our Director of Technical Service, Jay Maiden. How are you, Jay?
Doing outstanding.
I know we've been having some audio difficulties here, not to mention the fact that we're wearing the same shirt, which we weren't going to talk about earlier, but we are.
Yeah,
This
thanks for
actually
bringing that
happens
up.
a lot. Either we have on gray, blue, or black.
Yeah.
So, but we like wearing them. So, what is in your inbox today?
Drain lines.
Drain lines.
Yeah, I'd say at least every day we get one or two calls for evaporator drain line issues. Uh, and
Every day?
oddly enough, drain lines are not covered under warranty. We don't supply drain lines. We don't install drain lines. In the rare instance that we do a contracted install, which is less than 1% of the time, a contracted install, we would honor warranty on a drain line. But again, that's less than 1% of the time. So 99% of the time, if somebody calls in about a drain line issue, it's not covered under warranty.
Yeah, so, what kind of issues do they see that, they're calling us about?
A lot of times the drain line will freeze and you get water overflowing from the drain pan onto the floor of the product underneath. Or if they use incorrect materials, if they try and go on the cheap, they may use PVC instead of copper. And PVC cracks. We specify copper for a couple of reasons. One, it's an excellent conductor of heat. So if you've got a drain line heater and you've got water going through a drain line in a freezer, you want to make sure that you can actually conduct that heat properly and transfer that heat to keep that water from freezing and get it out of the space. Whereas PVC is an insulator. It's a horrible conductor of heat. And so even if you do have a heater wrapped around it, you're not transferring a whole lot of that heat, and it can still cause the drain line to freeze and crack. PVC also is very brittle. A lot of walk-ins, you've seen them, they have carts in and out in bogies just bumping against the drain line, and that PVC is prone to crack and cause leaks inside the walk-in. And you don't want water inside of a walk-in.
Do you have any pictures, just so we can kind of show
Yeah,
folks what we're talking about?
yeah. Let me share my screen real quick. I've got lots of pictures.
A drain line should be, pretty self-explanatory, but
So here's an excellent example of what a copper drain line should look like. This is inside a cooler. It's a cooler freezer combo. So you do see a trap here between the cooler evaporator and it going into the freezer space. And then you can see it's made out of copper and it has a proper slope to get the water out of the space. So here, that's a good example.
so it doesn't need to be level.
No, we actually want, I'm going to show you our detail of what it should be. This is from a installation manual, and you need a half a foot of pitch, foot of drain line. If you can get it out faster, the faster you can get it out of the space, the steeper the slope, the better. You want to get that water out as fast as possible, especially in the freezer where it has a chance to freeze. So you can see how it has a slope, downward slope. And this is the cooler and freezer, and you see it's trapped between the cooler and freezer. That's mandatory. That has to happen. And then outside the cooler space, you have another trap. Those are very, very important.
Okay.
The drain traps, there's a reason that we have drain traps. One of them is if you do not have a proper trap in either one of these, all this warm, moist air from the kitchen is going to get sucked up like a drinking straw to the back of these evaporators, and you're going to get ice to form inside here because warm, moist air and a freezing evaporator coil causes snow, frost, and ice to form. That's the main
Oh,
reason you're having a trap. The secondary reason we're having a trap is pests. You don't want insects or anything like that crawling up this drain line to the back of the evaporator.
okay.
You should never trap inside a walk-in, especially a freezer. This is a picture inside a freezer. It has heat tape, but you never want to leave water inside the freezer. You want it to leave the space as fast as possible. There's a very good chance that even with heat tape around this can still freeze up. And of course, if this freezes, the very next defrost cycle, that water's going to go over the top of that drain pan out on the floor. So here's an example of what it should look like outside the walk-in. This is a proper trap, and it goes to the deck drain. And I'm going to show you an example. This is a bad drain line. There is no trap. So all of this water moist here over this deck drain is going to get sucked right up that drain tube to the back of that evaporator and cause issues. One main picture that I like to show, I just got it the other day. This is a horrible drain line. Horrible. I mean, I can just imagine somebody walking with their arm full trying to get into this walk-in and tripping over that drain line. Obviously, this deck drain is not in the right location.
Yeah. So do you think that was a temporary solution? Can we give them the benefit of the doubt that
I
that
will give them props that they use copper instead of PVC, but that's the only plus they get for this. And
yeah.
they should install that drain line. They could have used a condensate drain over here to the side, up on, and then moved it somewhere else, but this never should have been installed. That deck drain never should have been put there. I'm sure that's in the wrong location.
Yeah, that's I don't think you have to be a genius or a refrigeration specialist to know that that's just not going to work.
So here's a good picture of what it looks like underneath the pencil tube inside of a freezer. This is how we kind of prefer to see it. You take your drain line here and you wrap it around the drain line. Then you come back and you'll insulate it with the insul tube. Now, I have seen some people just put drain lines, tape it to the bottom of the drain line. That's acceptable too, as long as it's copper. The water is running across the bottom of the drain line, so they just want to tape the drain tape, the heat tape across the bottom. That's acceptable because that's where the water is anyway. But if you use PVC, that's still not acceptable. You really should wrap it.
And where do you get that?
A lot of supply houses will have a drain line heater.
Okay. It's
So-
not something we don't provide any.
We do not provide it. A lot of times, there's codes, state or city codes will require the heat tape to be plugged into some sort of GFI outlet inside the evaporator, inside the walk-in itself. And I mean, that's just a horrible idea. I don't know why they say that that's code, because this is the worst place you can put a GFI outlet, is the back of a steaming evaporator, because any type of moisture hits that GFI, it's going to trip that breaker. And once you trip that GFI outlet, now that you don't have any heat going through this drain line. And if you don't have any heat going through this drain line, the very first defrost cycle after it's been tripped, all that water is going to freeze inside this pipe because it's going to be minus 10 degrees. And the very next defrost cycle, all the water is going to dump out onto the floor. And that's why it's a bad idea. We don't like these, but I know there's codes that require, if you use an outlet and a plug-in like this, it has to be GFI, but we recommend you use a 208, 230 drain line heater and connect it directly to the evaporator terminal board, terminals N and 4. And just omit this GFI because it will fail, it will trip. This is probably 90% of the phone calls we get is this GFI outlet has tripped after a defrost cycle because the steam has made it trip.
So what do they do? Like try to move it?
Well, they'll just take it and cut the plug off and wire it directly to the evaporator. Like I said, terminals N and 4, so it gets the power from the evaporator instead of from the GFI circuit. You got to make sure you use a 208, 230. There are 115-volt heaters out there, and if you're going to wire directly to the freezer evaporator, you got to make sure you use a 208, 230 drain line heater. You're going to smoke it. And finally, I want to go over some examples of what not to do, and I get plenty of these. There's so many different things that's wrong with this picture, but we're going to focus on the drain line. I mean, they do have a GFI inside the space, and it is a freezer, but you can see they use PVC, which, again, it's a insulator, not a conductor of heat, and they put the drain line heater on top of the PVC. And we all know that the water is in the bottom of the tube, not on top, so that's not going to work. There's also hardly any smoke
at the top where there's no water.
Correct. This looks like they try to put a trap in here. This also doesn't have a union. You can't disconnect this. So if there's a drain line that's clogged, you can't easily disconnect this to clean it out. So I mean, somebody's going to have to come in and cut this out. and to repair the drain line, because there's no actual union that's unscrewable, repair it or clean it and then screw it back together. So, and again, this is in a freezer. You can see there's ice forming on the bottom. There's no heat tape, no insulation. It doesn't even look like a good slope. We'll start with positives here. They're actually using copper, so we'll address that and praise that they're using copper, but they actually ran the drain line through the shelving, and that's not good. They do have a union, so you can disconnect it if you need to clean it, but you should not run the drain line through the shelving itself. This, again, we'll start with the positives. This was a phone call on a Friday at 4:59. They wanted emergency service out. Of course, we don't warranty drain lines. We don't install them. We don't supply it. But they did do heat tape all the way up to this point, and I guess they ran out of heat tape. They did not continue the heat trace along this part of the drain line. It's kind of hard to tell, but they'd actually split the copper right here. The ice kept forming until it split. And so the very next time we went to defrost, this is what they got.
Wow.
So they called us on a Friday at 4:59 and said, this just happened.
Just happened.
Now, one, that did not just happen. This is probably a week's worth of neglect and ignoring it until, I guess, Friday they had a truck coming. They had no shelf space. So now it's an issue. They don't want us to come out and do something about it now. But again, this is not a warranty item. So we gave a service company there that they could reach out directly to have them repair this. And this last one is, I'm still scratching my head. I can't address any of the positives because there's not one positive thing in this entire picture. You've got, looks like black iron, a 45 elbow for like gas line on a drain line that doesn't have a union. It has a short like quick connect on some sort of PEX or water line tubing. I mean, nothing about this is correct. Well, they do have a slope.
Yeah. Look at you being positive.
Here, no listen to it, but they do have a slope to drain. So the joys of being in service.
Oh, never a dull moment,
Never.
I guess you could say. So
Never.
that's all we have for today. If you have any questions or just want to reach out and give us any feedback, you can email us at chillfactor@colpack.com. And if you're watching this video up to this point, then you probably have Jay's email address, and feel free to email him and harass him as much as you want. So that's all we have for today. Thanks for watching.
See you.